The data slate was supposed to slow the Great Wall, but the green tide kept rolling on. As Boyz went up, Gretchen's went up, support pieces went up in cost. The Ork engine carried on. This past weekend, Orks won 5 tournaments, ending with a 59, well, we'll round up to 60% win rate. So today on WAAAGH Wednesday, we'll ask the question, did this fix Orks, or is the green unstoppable? At least till we get the codex. So, guys, we'll talk about the stats and the facts, the honorable mentions, and then the top player list that I picked. So, of course, like always, let's just get straight into it. This is live, like always. So shout out to the live chat. Whoa, what's up, you gets? So starting off with the stats and the facts, as always. Of course, this data is gonna have a good mixture of some of it was post data slate, some TOs just kept the old, you guys already locked the stuff in. Some of the big events that I'm gonna share lists from though, they updated it, right? So these are actually up to date costs and such. Which is good. But as for the overall stats, that's definitely a mix of what we were and what we are now. Nonetheless, I still think we're doing quite well because all of the results were straight not well. There's actually I think one green tide person. But let's talk about now. You can see it's broken up into this the dispositions now, and this is from Warp Friends, just so you guys want to know where the stats are from. So we had 65 Ork players, 9 of them were disruption, 11 were priority, only 6 were purge, 2 were reconnaissance, and then 37 take and hold. So the vast majority were playing. Of course, when we look at the honorable mentions, you're going to see there was a ton of freebooter crew. Some of it was with more Dakka. A lot of the results were more Dakka ones, and then the equatorial horde was a good second, where there was actually some little results here and there popping up as well. Nice to see priority assets getting some love, considering that there's really only 2 ways to do it right now, which is Dread Mob and Rollin Deff. And I think priority assets is awesome. But what snuck up on me was disruption. So we did a video with Steven Paprine with his list, and he changed from purge to disruption and what he's going into now. So it seems like a part of our great wall has tried to figure out that disposition as well. There is actually 3 of those players, and one of them was funny because it was I'll see in the honorable mentions, it was the hunt list and tactical list. It was a bit odd. So yeah, that was just a weird one in there from people that were doing it. 3 of those people that were actually having results, which was the interesting part to me. And then priority assets, like I said, 11 with 0 results wins, 6 purge the foe. It says that there's 0 result wins, but I have well, they're not winning lists. Oh, did I show too early? They're not winning lists from the ones that I pulled, but they are, I think, either 4-1. So they were still at least X and 1 list. Because if you look along the side here for purge the foe, this 50% marker is actually the amount of people that went 6-1. So for this column, 6-1, sorry, X and 1. So this column is X and 1 or undefeated. So 55 for disruption, 50 for purge, but there's only 6 players, obviously. Recon looks like they were struggling. No shame on them. And then the majority of people were playing take and hold, 27% of those, and then 60% overall. So take and hold doing strong. We'll look when we look at their honorable mentions as to what the attachments are being reviewed the most. But there is definitely a ton of play for people that are mixing stuff up, as you can see by just looking at this chart. Way more disruptions than I would have guessed. About as many recons if I would have guessed, and a little bit more priority assets than I assumed. Much less purge the foe, maybe because they took it away from more Dakka, and maybe just because Orks really just, as we thought on the channel when it first showed all of dispositions, I was like, I don't think Orks are going to like purge that much. But that doesn't mean you can't get results there, which is why, like today, we're going to be showing Bully Boys, we're going to be showing the Hunt, and we're going to be showing a freebooter crew list. So with that being said, let's look at the honorable mentions, because I want to give these guys some love. Of course, if you're a rewatch gang, shout them out. We can go over any of these lists in the future. If there's anything that I missed, you let me know, and maybe I'll bring it up on the next weekend following up. So be sure to interact and let me know, because I do this all live. You get so for the first honorable mention, we got Jordan Nash with the 4-0-1 with his freebooters and equatorial horde. So I'll just give a little sneak peek right now. I actually know this kid. All right, he's a bit of a local that I personally like, so I'm thinking of having him on and having a chat, just talking about Orks as a whole and what made him want to talk about it. Start using them now, so he's a great guy, qualified for a World, so much love to Jordan. Then we got Emmanuel Luco with another 4-1-0. This is Freebooters and more Dakka. So as you can see, Jordan was the only one that used Equatorial. For the other Freebooters list we're looking at, they were all using more Dakka, including the undefeated list that we're going to be looking over as well. But we also have Andrew with 4-1-0, more Dakka Freebooters crew. Matt Root with more Freebooter crew, more Dakka as 5-0-1. This one was on, I think, War Games Live, and of course they were doing a great job. It's so much pressure to be playing on that kind of platform, that many people watching, and high stakes table. So no reason to give them any hard time or anything because of how it ended. They were running out of time, and I think they just settled in a draw because of like the final round mix-up or something like that. It happens. It's all good. It seems like that things carried on well, but nonetheless, he was still slaying people on his way up to that final round. And nonetheless, Freebooters, as you can see, was just taken off. So that's what we automatically assumed when Green Tide got hit. Even before it got hit, we knew that Freebooters was going to be nasty. Now, the only real question is, are you really sticking to more Dakka or Equatorial Hordes? Now, it seems like more people have to kind of play it out back and forth, but there's just so much direct synergy between Freebooters and more Dakka that I find it extremely hard to think that Equatorial Horde is going to surpass it. Then we have Paul Reynolds with 4-1-0. I didn't check if this was post-status slate, but hopefully it was, because he went 4-1-0 with Green Tide. So, the only single that we see in there. And then Justin Yin with 4-0-1, who was running the Hunt and Tack Brigade. So, of course, if any of these guys I missed, or you want me to cover them, or if there's a list that I didn't see, write it. You never know. It might get my attention. Your one comment might get my attention so that we can actually end up looking into that. So thank you for anybody who does that. And, of course, thank you to... Before we jump back into the video, transporting a full Warhammer army, especially an Ork Horde, can be a battle in itself. The TTRPGo large magnetic miniature carrying case is built to carrying armies over 3,000 points with adjustable metal trays to give you room for everything from Boyz to vehicles and your biggest centerpiece gets. Once your bases are magnetized, your model stays secured to the trays without being packed within foam. And because a massive army gets heavy fast, the case includes a detachable trolley handle and wheels, so you can roll the wall into your local battle. Check it out using my affiliate link in the description. It helps support wall tactics at no additional cost to you. Protect your models, save your backs, and roll into the next call of the wall. So let's get into the first list from the baddest gets around. We have Damian Owens, who went 5-0-0, and I'll just show you right now. This kid put up a tremendous score of 490 out of 500 total points. So he scored 4 perfect scores out here, straight dunking on people. So if we get an emergency nerf patch, we know who to blame. It's your fault. No, I'm joking. You can see right here underneath it, there was a Thousand Suns player doing great as well. So a lot of people doing strong all around. Like, for example, I've seen Custodes, one of their detachments on dispositions taking hold. They have like a 60% win rate as well. So don't freak out. There's a lot of really strong armies. Let's just enjoy the time while we're here, guys, right? Because the moment's now. But I just wanted to show you how he's doing. And let's go over his list real quick. I didn't get notes from him. If I did one day, that'd be sick, though. But starting off, our boy kicked it traditional here. Yes. So we have one gas brick, but with the mega knobs, with a power claw and a kill saw. No mob of boys. Guys, if you're new, whatever, trust me, this is a really strong, good way to still play him. Why? Well, it's much easier to hide gas in that way and then use him continuously for his wall because he's such a smaller profile. He's also tougher, at least to one-shot in a sense. When he's smaller like this, because you have to get through all the rest of the list to get to him in some cases, in some matchups. And then he's actually cheaper as well, right? So instead of paying for the boys and then a character for the pain boy to stop him from being precisioned out so easily, he still has that feel no pain on the go for the rest of the game. And in this case, that means you can end up using him like, okay, he's so small that I'm just taking advantage of Makari Banner, for example. He's better into elite infantry in some cases because he has AP. It's just a good alternative, but I'm surprised and really happy to see it doing so well, because most of the time people had just straight given up on using this 5-6 mega knobs with Gaz, and we're going for straight just mobs of Boyz. I totally think this is viable, but specifically in Freebooter Krew, for reasons stated above. And the 1-1 is because depending on what targets you're going in is what's going to be better for Gaz. Then we have a Zogrot Wartsnagga brick. Really, oddly enough, this crazy get had dead shiny shooters on this. Now we're going to look to his path to victory to see on maybe what some reasons he was looking to actually have this additional shot. But it's not wrong to think that Zod and his gits would maybe use blast and then dead shiny shooters on the wall for sustain to kill like a 10-man unit of something that maybe doesn't have a great armor save, or in the Ork mirror matchup where you're like, well, I'm going to get within range and be able to just make it rain on you. So that's hilarious, very unique and different. So you can see right out the gate, Damien's just in his own category of just combos, and he continued that pattern with this weird attached unit 3 and question mark 4, because if I show you on BCP number 4, these units were all separated individually, but I think he used them all as attached units. So I'm just presuming that. Hopefully I'm right. But what he did for his attached unit 3, which this one did come together on BCP, I could show you, but he used a Big Mac with shock attack on, and then a get spotter squig, so he's ignoring cover, a Pain Boy, and then a Tank Buster unit. That was crazy, right? And then he did a second one. It was so crazy that I double-checked BCP, and I'll double-check it with you right now, because I was like, well, that doesn't even, I'm not even following that, right? So there's Gaz. There you go. Tank Busters right there, right? Tank Busters, Pain Boy, shock attack gun. And then when we look at the next one, he has another shock attack gun, Pain Boy, and then a Tank Buster down here. So that's why in my slide I just wrote it all together, because I'm pretty sure he ran that as another, copy of the combo. But how crazy is that, right? Just hang with me there. The Pain Boy with the Tank Busters, is that really just for the fact that if I can at least keep a couple Tank Busters alive, my shock attack gun can go off again and still keep to be crazy, and then you get to bring D3 back, so you might bring back the whole unit. Also, if you're using him as a little bit further of range, there's a good chance the enemy's using just small arms and just kind of piddly fire at them, and that might not clear the unit. I mean, I know personally, I know that I would always have like 1 to 3 Tank Buster units, guys kind of left over sometimes. So yeah, I'm just wondering there, so you guys can let me know. Maybe they're missing something on there. Could be to make them tougher, could be because they're better in combat. Bringing Tank Busters back, it's just totally odd. And he did that twice, and then he threw the dead shiny shooter enhancement on the second one. Next, he had individual character of Boss Nickrock and WAAAGH Gutsmack. Just that awesome dynamic duo right now. Followed by a truck, 2 Big Mac Dakka rigs, a big brick of 10 flash kits, and then a Gretchen unit. I personally just automatically on my Dread Mob, my Freebooter, on multiple of these shooting kind of combo supplements support unit that I'd want is a Dakka rig or a 10 unit flash kits with dead shiny shooters. Universally good in the right matchups, in the right units you want to hit with stratagem combinations. It's a super versatile and powerful unit that doesn't require a leader, and it's quite cheap, so it's ending up on a lot of these really good performing lists. So if you just use 10 flash kits, seems to be just supplementary, it's a good support and almost universal detachments. Big Mac Dakka rigs still for their 115, they're getting played. Shout out to, I think it was Seth Palmer, right? We've seen on War Games Live also, where I think is his name, the Dread Mob player. He was running 3 of these. So Dakka rigs still everywhere, still really good, still universal, and we love to see it. He has an odd spread here, but it's a lot of shooting. So there's a lot of shooting on here. Let's take a look at his matchups. I want to go into his matchups because you know, a lot of people would just be like, this is an odd list. And it is, right? I mean, double Tank Buster, Pain Boy units, which is kind of funny in that way. So, all right, let me look at his. And he huge scores. So it must have just been just rolling into people, smashing into them. I mean, imagine he's like the Pain Boy's in here because the Pain Boy just crumps on his own. So yeah, then we go into his first game real quick. So we got Morty. I was gonna say Morty and Glory. Shout out to Morty. I meant Death Guard. Death Guard with Mortadion's Hammer. We have a Lord Virulence, a Malignant Plaguecaster, double Defilers. You know, right away that kind of kicked me off, right? Like I'm like, that's true. A ton of lists that I'm seeing everywhere. Ton of CSM. Ton of variations of CSM, like Emperor's Children, World Eaters, Death Guard, like you see here, and they're taking double Defilers. And something that trades out Defilers super well for the most part are like a Tank Buster unit when you have one or two of them. Just the Orks as a whole with our shooting right now in our multi-phase potential, we're just picking up Defilers quite effectively, I've noticed. And now I'm like, okay, he has those Tank Buster bricks. He's, you know, okay, I'm a little tracking. And then the Warhound Titan, which is just hilarious points. So he just brought a big kind of meme-ish kind of list for his first one, which helps with his 100-point win on that one. Then he goes into the second list, which is to Salamander. So Salamander's a sleeper kind of detachment, right? You always hear about the Ultra Smurfs and whatever, but when you have Forge Fathers and Liberian Conclave, real strong mid-table damage, good mobility combos. So we got Vulcan Heastam with Company of Heroes, Agdrax Agatone. I got that guy as a pate. And then a big brick of Blade Guard veterans. Let's see, Blade Guard Lieutenant, Agdrax. Yeah, that's probably like his main combo and counter charge. I think he gets like +1 to wound and stuff with it. And then unit 3 is a Librarian with a big brick of Infernus. So this would be scary to like Zod's unit, for example. Very nasty in that case, but not as much to Gaz because he's with Mega Knobs this time. 1 Librarian brick with Stern Guard, an Intercessor squad, an Impulsor squad, 1 Jump Pack, double Lancer, Infernus, Speeder, Repulsors, and a Scout squad. Awesome to see here. A little different. He has a little bit fire support, some speed, small skirmishing units, some lancing tanks, but what does he even have? I mean, he has Dakka rigs. Dakka rigs are not great for lancers because we got invulns. We don't die to just one of them lancer shots. Yeah. Oh, well, it's pretty cool. Nonetheless, a lot of stuff for killing all their infantry that he has and all these little bricks that run invulns. Good always having anti-hull support such a big deal right now. And something like that big 10-man flash brick into like the Stern Guard brick or the Infernus squad, nasty. Being able to pick Blast on there as well. All these units, because with the abundance of damage too on this list, are getting smashed up. And then when you have the ability for WAAAGH Dakka to cover that distance and hit them, guys continually walling through the mid table on them. Their flamers and such don't work as well into them. And he didn't bring, for example, the Land Raider Redeemer, right? And at least that's Overwatch, kind of can hurt Gaz's brick. I mean, Mega Knob brick, but still, even then, he'll like kill 1.5 and pile through that. So he took another big fat 100 against that. Going into his third game, he went into Nethgron's Star Shatter. So we have Emotech with a 10-man unit of Warriors, Catacomb Command Bars, Hexmark Destroyer, Luminor, Caesaris, and the Silent King. Silent King's really important here. We got Luminor and a Catacomb Command Bars because he holds that. I think they can like reduce damage and such and make people -1 to wound. So it's supposed to be like their tough one for vehicles, I think, with that Command Barge. And he has an aura. I have to check with that aura. It might be like a 6 Feel No Pain or something. Like multiple buffs. A Scarab unit, Triple Doomsday Arc, Flayed One, Ophidian Destroyers, Tomb Blades, and Triarch Praetorians. These are one of those armies that I did look out for, and this is one of those units that I wanted to be able to threaten. Because because there are certain Necron builds that are like, I'm just gonna take the Silent King and some other tough stuff and put them in the mid table, shoot at you from long range. When you respond, I'm gonna respond back at you with triple Doomsday arcs, and then I'm going to charge you and fight you and do stuff with the Silent King. So for a competitive list, you do want stuff that can take Silent Kings out. In that case, it does, when you're playing this detachment, take a lot of commitment from like multiple tank busters. You do have the benefit though that generally he does come forward. People will put him on objectives. You put that at the objectives. You re-roll wounds. Pure volume works a lot better on the Silent King because of his weird ablative wounds. Like his minions die, and then he himself has to die. And if he doesn't, then he starts regenning. So there's always the option that you kill everything else and then kill him later if you can somehow feed him off. But how we're looking at this list, he most likely just try to take off the king as he could. Earlier than not, because the list revolves around him like that. And then we have wrong. Yeah, we had another guy down here. If you guys want to know, here's the other disruption player. See, we're not gonna look at him right now, but he lost his last game, so great run there. Then going to his fourth game. We have a Dock Angel. So this is the game where he lost 10 points. As in, like, didn't get a perfect 100. We have Dock Angels with Dark Flight Pursuit and Iron Storm Spearhead. So we have Azrael, Ancient, and then Inner Circle Companions. Lionel Johnson, Tech Marine, Intercessor, and Cursor. Double basic Land Speeders, and then double Land Speeder Vengeance. Followed by double Redemptor Dreadnought, and then a Storm Strike Speeder. So, I mean, what can I say, guys? Right, he just called the meta pretty right. These units do very well into everything that we're looking at here. You're looking into Dreadnoughts, well, -5 AP shock attack guns do great. Into that, bunch of Dakka rigs, great for killing all these Space Marine, little crappy Space Marine bodies. Land Speeders can still get killed by the Dakka rig or the Flash Kits themselves. WAAAGH Dakka being able to run around and fight units that are around the field setting up. And then you really have maybe a 1v1, at least in my heart, with Lionel Johnson. But the activations here, getting them to commit first, though, like on your Dakka rig, for example, or something, they're going to want to commit anyways with their speeders. And then get like the reactive kind of little cagey moves off on you. And what was their disposition in this one? It was a take and hold versus take and hold. So you guys are going to bang it out in the middle anyways. So that means you know that Lionel's going to come in there. But in my opinion, this is where that weird feel no pain boy comes into play, right? Because you can expose and shoot. I know, like on the wall, for example, a Redemptor Dreadnought doesn't just automatically, maybe if it's certain rage, maybe it does. And if it has oath or something, then sure. But not every unit's gonna have oath. But if you shoot like a tank buster unit that has a pain boy on it, and then they have cover, and they have the feel no pain on them, there's a good chance that that unit has a couple guys left. Then they get to shoot again at, for example, a Dreadnought, or finish off in a little speeder, stuff like that. And then you can also shoot Lionel with tank busters in that case. You still have Gaz, which is way smaller profile, so he's not as vulnerable to those land speeders. So you can start just getting charges off and smashing up into units too. So the tank busters don't even target the Dreadnoughts in that case. Gaz might be able to get through them because you can use at least one of those Dakka rigs as kind of like bait, in my opinion. Now, there is something to say that I could be wrong that this unit was even attached and that he did something like Big Brain and he intentionally had one of the trucks with like both tank buster units. And since it has a leader, it can't be attached to it. So there's a chance that that's a truth as well, right? Because we have two trucks on this list. One's taking the 10 flash kits. One's taking what? Right? So there might be a case that I'm missing something, but it was just a weird kind of laid out formulation. And yes, Lionel Johnson is awesome. He's murdery and killy, and he can interject himself. But he has to be cautious because he can totally get killed by orcs multiple phases now. And the more that he's cautious with himself and we start dismantling the rest of his support, the more that he has to heavy lift, and he can't kill like everything on his own. He runs out of kind of steam and activation. So I've learned to not overly respect Lionel, even though I respect him a lot because he's a great data sheet and he's killy. But when you have tank busters and shooting, and you can just take him down and gang up on him, and then you can charge him to stop him from heroic king, so you can still kill all his friends. There's a lot of stuff. And then we go into this last matchup, which was into the Adeptus Custodes, which, like I said, this style of Adeptus Custodes have taken hold. I'm pretty sure it has like a 60% win rate. So this was a strong one right here. We have Valerian with some Warden, so they got that for Feel No Pain shenanigans. Shield Captain on Dawn Eagle with some Praetorians, or Praetors, sorry, Praetors. 3 of them. Another unit of a Shield Captain on Dawn Eagle. 1 small unit of Guardians. Triple Alaris. 2 of them is 5 and 1 is a 3. I do wonder if that would be tougher, like into mobs of boys where these guys have all their blasts. Like if these would be more problematic for mobs of boys where they have big blast targets. Like maybe that's why he chose it. Who knows? And then the Prosecutor. So that's a bit of a different custode list, at least from what I'm familiar with and I'm more right. A lot of them are Guardians. A lot of them will have the jetpack dudes that can ingress. We have Wardens, for example, even Dreads. But this many Terminators I haven't seen. But what I do know about Terminators is they're pretty killy, somewhat versatile, a lot of volume of shots and stuff, and get a good amount of re-rolls. So there could be something in there where that person was choosing to take that as an orc counter. That being said, definitely glad to have Gaz try to make contact with one of those Alaris bricks because of their 4 wounds of pop, and having all those Dawn Eagle jet bikes. This matchup would be quite interesting because none of our damage profiles go as clean into these guys as we typically would want them to. The one factor we have here is they only have like 3 big activations, because they have their Warden brick, both of their big biker bricks, and then they also have 2 Terminator bricks they could use, I guess, as pretty big activations also. They have 5 pretty big activations. So that is a quite versatile list. I appreciate that custode list. Usually I find them all kind of boring and the samey. So it's nice to see. Could be pure volume, could be Dakka rigs popped off. Flash gets maybe popped off because I know that they're strength 6, and then you could end up having their rapid fire and maybe cover or additional AP. They would do great to Terminators as well if they ended up using. Well, I don't know about great because Terminators are T7, I think, which is kind of cool, I guess. So this is actually quite awesome list that he ended up going into last. Sorry, guys, I had his list up. This is actually quite a decent list that he went into. So great kudos to him. Seems like he most likely played kind of a cagey game, let one of his trucks or Dakka rigs, for example, go forward, and then responded and did some real serious damage first, because he is a low model count. Though things are big and killy, like they're a low model count. You kill a couple of these Praetors from each bike unit, kill a couple of those Termies, they run out of juice in response. And hopefully WAAAGH played a part, because I feel like WAAAGH plays a part in this matchup because he's actually fast enough to make contact with the bikers first and tag them up and kill some and help kill them. But yeah, I'm not really sure with that one. I haven't played into that style of custode list. So that being said, he scored a big fat 100 on it. So it seems like it wasn't a problem for him. Excellent list, huh? Lethals, running up the field, smashing, shooting, continuously assaulting and charging people. One thing that we can point out here is no mobs of boys. So as much as a lot of the other taken hold freebooter Mordaka lists are rolling out, have a bunch of those mobs and such, and I think they're still quite viable and powerful. This was a really cool alternative that I wasn't expecting to see. Still had Zod in there, good epic character support, really odd tech with the Pain Boy. Really cool to see Gaz move back to the Mega Knobs in this case. And there's a lot to be said about this that even me personally don't know off the top of my head. So maybe Damien will drop a comment, let us know one day. With that being said, though, great job, Damien. The list was encouraging and shows people to really think outside of the box. Because you always see weird people that are like, what about knobs and pain boys and war bosses and stuff? And I'm like, sure. But first time seeing people say, hey, what about tank busters and tank busters and pain boys? So very new, very awesome to see. And so that being said, we move on. So we move on to Marco and his The Big Hunt list. Now, let me clear some of these tabs up because I brought up a bunch of these tabs personally. Okay, cool. So he went to Chimera Gaming. Let's see if I can pull it up right so you guys can see it on BCP. And what up, live chat? If I miss anything, let me know. If you want me to talk about something more, let me know. Try not to just rant too much on one topic or one list. But here we go with Marco. He got 5th. 6 rounds, though, so pretty heavy. And he lost right here on the very first day of day 4. But I have a little bit of a soft spot for the hunt right now, so I wanted to pull out the hunt list. And I think a lot of people still own those kind of models. So let's take a look at something like that. And also, if you've noticed, I'm picking stuff that isn't the standard. Here's a bunch of boys, 20 boys destroying people, running up the field. I love those lists, don't get me wrong. But I've been showing those for weeks, and they're pretty much similar, and we know what they're doing. So I'm trying to show you diversity to inspire people to use different stuff and to keep figuring out dispositions. So all the people that are playing the odd and off dispositions, you got my attention. You're doing a good job. And this is another odd list because we're seeing Mazraq, we're seeing Squigs, no traditional meta lists or units here. This almost feels like someone took a 9th edition Sav list and then said, well, you're going to play the 11th edition missions and everything like that. So speaking of, let's look at this list. We have first attached unit, Mazraq with a big old fat brick of pigs. He went full 8-man unit. Now I'll tell you guys, I've been telling you guys, I've been playing the hunt, right? I've been playing the hunt, and I use Maz with a brick of pigs just like this, but I use it a 4-man unit, not the 8-man unit. So when I seen this, I'm like, dang, where is this dude staging it, right? It's like, then you kind of want to reserve this. You generally already wanted to. But there are places where you can be somewhat aggressive with it. You just always kind of accept that you're not getting some of those guys into combat. Yeah, with that being said, though, this unit can actually shred when you're in the hunt because you have critical 5+, and then you also have AP2. So one of the biggest things you're missing on pigs is the AP. You get that in the hunt. So you don't get +1 to hit, but critical 5+ sustain is almost as good as +1 to hit. Well, probably as good. Then we go into the attachment unit 2 and 3 are both 10-man units of Snagaboys with beast bosses. Of course, one of those is the proper Killy boss. Absolutely insane. I had one of these dudes one-shot Fulgrim. It was great experience just watching him one-shot that guy 1v1ing him. Actually, he didn't 1v1 him. I guess technically a couple Snagaboys like chopped off a couple wounds at the end, but yeah, or to begin with. Excellent units, good skirmishers. In this detachment, you have access to advance and charge outside of the wall. You get rerolls for charges, which is huge in this edition. And then you also put that in tandem with boarding ramps. You get +1 to your charge. So these guys are fast. They're fast outside the wall. The rigs themselves can auto advance 6. They can get in fights. They can do stuff. And then the Snagaboys can get out and start doing things. Get +1 strength from those kill rigs outside or during the wall. And yeah, this is with Rolling Death. I'll pull it up just to make sure I'm not lying. Yeah, he's with Rolling Death, and he chose Purge. So yeah, a bunch going on there with that combo. I'm really glad to see it. And then he goes to a 4th unit where he has another big brick of pigs, dude. That's insane. I've been playing the hunt, guys. I haven't been bold enough to run that many pigs. I haven't seen anybody in that much of a long time, right? So the fact that he did it, and he did so well and got my attention, I was really excited to see it. And I hope pigs get the mobile keyword in the new codex. But here he put Shirley as Squiggle, so they have -1 to wound. Like I said about the Maz unit, you get the additional IP. This unit can actually kind of fight. Mind you, It also gets +1 to charge because the Squig Boss, a -1 to a heroic intervention strat, and the Squig Boss himself is quite dirt cheap. Then last not least, the 5th unit is a Beast Boss on Squigosaur with Glory Hog with just 4 pigs. Now, this one is interesting because when I was talking to my boy Christian, shout out my cousin Christian, we were talking about the impact of scouting pigs in Glory Hog. And the idea was, I was saying, well, I'm just using Nas and I like how he kills, and why would I want to move? Why would I want the scouting anyways right now? I'm already fast enough. And when the more we spoke about it, it's because of the mental assault it puts on your opponent to go, hey, I can scout 9 these pigs, and there are spaces that are generally safe for staging in this edition if you scout that much. So you can scout, then you can tell the enemy I can automatically move 10 because I move 10. I can advance and charge, or I can just do that normal scout and normal move and then have a kill rig auto advance 16 alongside that unit and then go for a charge right on turn 1 or turn 2 without even declaring the wall. You have that much pressure, you're able to move that quickly. And so it just impacts the opponent's entire deployment to go, I can declare any one of your units, I'll get reroll charges on it, I'll get critical 5+, and I'll get additional AP into it. So Armor of Contempt's not going to save you. -1 to hit's not going to save you. Like, none of these buffs that you're thinking are going to save you are going to save you. And I'm going to run into you with all of these buffs with this pig unit if I want. Right? Most people now, if they're playing take and hold armies or whatever, they want to take something big and stage it right in the middle, nice and safe, and be like, I can't wait for my go turn. I'm going to push this right in your face. You can't stop me. And well, if I go jump on your face first, I might stop you, right? And so it impacts the opponent greatly. And I think it slept on it a little bit. So I think it played a impact. I know my kill rigs just being that fast so far, and having WAAAGH, Dakka, and pig units themselves has been important. So Glory Hog, I can see playing a role in just maybe you don't do any of those things I mentioned in any of your games, but having that opportunity impacts the enemy is all I was trying to point out there. WAAAGH, Dakka, Gutsmech. I love him in the hunt. He goes alongside everybody great. His toughness, his speed, and he's great at trying to take the enemies home. 1 Gretchen unit. I love to have 2. But this crazy git had a shock jump dragsta. Now with the new shock jump dragsta ability, you're not picking them up. You're just simply moving, advancing endlessly, forever, unlimited advance, and then you just stop 8 inches away from the enemy. And it's funny, I was considered, and I've talked about this in the past with Armor Gits before, but it's about the board control that you have here with the shock jump dragsta. The ability to say, like, oh, you have, say you're playing one of those Terminator, fancy Terminators, beaky Space Marines things where they're like, I can pick up a Terminator unit and increase them turn 1, for example, like Space Wolves. You can be like, well, now that I know you're going to try to do that to me, I'm going to shock jump dragsta, take up that space for any of these early turn 1 redeploys, retaking positioning on the table kind of shenanigans you're going to try to do. I can take the shock jump and just immediately fill up these spots, or I can wait late game and just fly across the field with this. Has more OC, it's a bit tougher, stuff like that as well. And I can just leave it in my backfield screening just like the Grots would, and then fly around the field at will to score once I realize I have that space. So he works as like, I'm still going to play this passive role, but I can fly around, do everything everywhere. He's a little low, and it's funny because maybe it's just that 5 points instead of Snickrot, and you had to do it, but he really does work in that place. He can't do actions, but just being there goes a long way. And I've always found that when you're playing this kind of list where you don't really have screens, right? He doesn't have screens on this list. He goes forward with the rigs. He has his pigs, one of his pigs bricks, and that's it. That means if the enemy has the ability to say, I'm going to ingress at the end of your movement and then immediately on my turn move advanced charge into you, then he takes the initiative away from me and he can really crash one of my units really poorly. So this shock jump dragsta, as for I'm going to control table space of your ingressing capability, is to not be underappreciated, right? It's the one thing that looking at this list, you would think it's out of place, but to me it makes a complete sense to me. And Snicker, I might do it better or differently or whatever, but this guy's pretty big, so he does it maybe a little better in that way. So yeah, that's all I got to say. Love kill rigs, love boarding ramps, everything. Really big for that. And let's look at his path to victory. And like chat's saying, yeah, just keep in mind, I'm loving the hunt because you get reroll charges into your target. That counts for your heroics. You get heroic buffs. Your dudes are fast. It just feels like you're fast the entire game, not just for certain parts of the game. So it doesn't have the same overwhelming factor as like some of these most meta lists, but I've been having a really fun time with it. So let's see. We got his first matchup, which was into Adeptus Custodias. So this was a meat grinder because it's Purge versus Purge. And it's funny because I'm playing them and I'm playing them as priority. So maybe I'm wrong because the good players are getting using Purge. You guys let me know. Maybe I'm wrong. We got Trajan with some Guardians. Nice brick right there. 4. We have Valerian with another unit of Guardians. A Blade Champion with some Guardians. Another Blade Champion with some Guardians. See, this is what I was more familiar with. Then a Shield Captain with 1 brick of Alar's Terminators, and then a small 3-man unit of Alar's Terminators. So one thing I've noticed into this matchup is because of the additional AP and critical 5+, and I also have higher strength that I can reach. So like let's just pick a random thing and then I'm going to put as a matchup here. Like let's say one of my units of pigs or Snagga Boys, or 2 of each one, double team, because generally I try double team custode units with one of those kind of units. Both of them hypothetically could get buffs from kill rigs and put them at better wounding thresholds into both of these any of these custodes units that I'm punching. So like the pigs, they start at 5, then as in the guys on top, right? So the guys on top start at 5, the wall gives them the 6, and then a kill rig can get them to 7. So then I would be 7, and then +1 to wound from Lance. So that makes me better at punching with hair. Plus a -2 AP. So these guys are all going on their wounds. Then if they interrupt, and I've already killed a couple of them, and you're trying to punch like a kill rig and a Squighog Boy unit, right? You're not really killing those horde like that well, and I can still fall back with my stuff. So I've noticed that, for example, if you control the space, like I was talking about that one the Dragsta, or for example the scouting pig unit, where you can kind of manipulate where they're going to end up and what they do, or maybe they just go, you know what, I'm going to go for it, I'm not going to be scared of you because I can advance and charge with this unit. You're like, sure, whatever, but you're fast enough, auto advance 6, crash into them with the pig. They can't reliably kill the pig in response, like the kill rig, for example. And then they might counter assault and try to kill it with more stuff. And then that's when you bring in your actual wall and you massively crash into the enemy. Usually double teaming any of these really hyper elite units will be good. And then leaving the other units that are still double teaming as well. But it'll be something like a pig and the kill rig. But then your 10-man unit will go find something to skirmish with, or it'll be using one of the combos because it'll be strength 5, then strength 6 from the wall, then strength 7. Then maybe they do, maybe they have because we'll see these guardians. These guardians have spears, so that means these guys are 3 wound guardians. So these are highly susceptible to the beast boss with 3 damage, right? Because he can do a sweep, critical 5+, and then he has all the snagger dudes with him. So this guy would just that little 10-man snagger unit, guys. I'm telling you, it's happened though. And especially if you roll like a lethal, you're like, oh, kill rig, +1 strength to the snagger unit with the boss with the 3 damage sweeps. Oh, you crump, dude. It's crump. I've been eating up Terminators and units like that left and right. So went a little long there, but yeah, I like that matchup. It would be a fun one. Then we go into the second one where you can see he very low scoring, but that can happen sometimes. So we go into the second game. We have Chaos Demons. We have Legion of Access and Warp Tide. So priority assets. Oh, so maybe that changes the score. Like I keep telling you guys, when I make Take and Hold video, I'll pontificate on this. But I think the Take and Hold matchup and the priority favors the priority. But in this case, he's playing Purge the Foe, which again, I still think priority doesn't hate the matchup as much as you would think. So he had to go get him, and it usually just messed with the score because you're like urgency behind this as the purge player. And so he had to go into him compared to as the priority person, he could be passive as the demons player, right? I've done this matchup where I was priority and then the demon player was take, I think, and then they had to come get me or something. And then they were priority 2 or something. So I put a different kind of aggro evolution here where I could be somewhat passive. But in this case, our friend had to just be straight into it and run into this guy. And I'm sure that's why the score wasn't as high as he wanted it to, because demons could be cagey when you got to get in there. So we have Slilax with some demonettes. We have a contour, whatever that is, a demonette, a keeper of secrets, another keeper of secrets, a torment bringer, 3 10-man units of demonettes, Beast of Nurgle, triple 5-man fiend. So there's a lot of speed on this list. Good volume of punching, and then also the keepers punch pretty well. And if you don't have the right combos on them, because they're always -1 to hit, they could be quite hard to hit. And then they're good AP. They're like AP3, so they're good at punching through your Squigholic Boys 2 in response. They're very fast, so this army is actually quite fast in this matchup too. So I can see this being difficult when you're the purge person saying, I have to run this list down and go take assets from them. But something that's in your favor is how tough you are. And if you pull in some good overruns, for example, with like these demonettes, the small units, utilize either your rigs or your snagger boys to pull off some overruns. So like, again, if you use a kill rig and you use the cleave stratagem, where he gets cleave on all his weapons. So this is a 10-man unit. You would get 2 more attacks per all his weapons on his data sheet. And then maybe the pigs can overrun and then run into a demon unit and crash into that and kill it to get the initiative. That helped me in some of the games when I had to deal with it. And these fiends as well, you have to do that. But your pigs and your kill rigs being so tough means that all these little skirmish things are not going to be good at committing to them. So he has to commit real units into it. Nonetheless, it's still a hard matchup, as you can see, because you only got 49 points in that one. So I'd like to see how that went for him. I think that was something to do with just like the disposition challenge, in my opinion. Not that I could prove that, just wondering. Then we go into this third game. I'm gonna try to go faster into this, guys, because I'm dragging. So we got Drakari with Reconnaissance. Guess what he was playing? Reconnaissance or Reconnaissance? We have Lady, we have a Cabalite, business team. What the heck is that? An Archon, some Cabalite warriors, Drazar, some Incubi, Succubus with witches, a Raider, double Venoms, double Ravengers, double Voids, Kronos, Hellions, Reavers, Mandrakes, Scourges. So in this matchup, the one thing you worry about is like the one turn they come out with whatever lances they have. What are these things called? Heat lances they have. Sure, they could pop your kill rigs, and then they have a lot of infantry, like anti-infantry weapons. Other than that, though, your pigs, quite safe running at these guys. The kill rigs themselves, quite safe once they make targets. Once you do dismantle any of these, like transports or some of these Chronos that are standing around, these units that are picking up their little drakes and stuff, they run out of momentum and they can't really pick up squig type data sheets, and your data sheets go so well into them because like even a snagga unit of 10 snagga boys with the kill rig for +1 strength deletes any of their units. So then yeah, kill them 92 as score shows. Going to his fourth matchup now. This is the one he lost, where he goes into Tyranids. So I've had this where I've just bad luck in the Tyranids. It's not the Tyranid player did anything wrong. Like it's not like they don't earn it. I am bad luck in the sense that when they call Shadow of the Warp and you don't roll enough leadership battle shock tests and you don't pass enough of them, it's a huge deal for something like the Hunts, especially because you focus that strength of your strat stacking and also your mobility strats. So I can see that being a huge deal, not going off and really swinging games for me. I know personally that's happened several times. So we have Subterranean Assault Force, and this is another one, like I said, if the enemy can come up on you and hit you first in this kind of army that you're running with this many pigs, that hurts a lot because that's the one thing you can't stand. So I can see this being tough, and it was a disruption. And we were talking about, me and Steven Papperine were talking about disruption versus, no, not versus purge. We did talk about that a little bit though. So we have one old One Eye with the one basic kind effects, probably just so he gets his buffs. We have a Tyranid Prime with Lashing Whip with 10 Hormagaunts, 2 of those bricks. Another Prime with the bio weapons and the warriors. Some Hyper Adaptive Ravner bricks, 2 of them. The Red Tier, which actually has some pretty sick rules nowadays for hitting and going. We have Swarm Lord, Bio Wars, Hive Guard, Raveners, Von Round Leafers, 1 small unit of Zone Thrope, and then another small unit of Zone Thropes. But that's still enough to threaten your rigs. Like I said, though, this game has a couple things that could give it a 44, so it was a tough one. That's his person. So he got a 86, his opponent did. Like I said, being able to control the space so the enemy can actually like ingress, smash into you on their terms is one of those hard weaknesses you would have is playing this style of pig list where you're just like, all I have is big stuff all set up. You know, if the enemy can choose their terms of engagement, pick your army apart, somehow kill a rig and get the guys on the inside and get some charging off, it can go. Something that can go your way is if you go first and you run to their lines, get their rigs caught on their lines and your pigs, pick up what is on the field. There could be a chance that that's a good factor too, but I don't really know the disruption primary into this, so maybe that took play as well. Then he goes into his 5th game where he makes a total comeback. It's a 100-point win there. Sorry, guys. I was supposed to show you this, and I left you over there. So a priority asset versus our boys Purge. So he has a call with some big brick of Hearthguard. Uther the Destin with a big brick of Hearthguard. Oh, no, it's 5. Just a 5-man unit of Hearthguard. We have Myanmar the Strategist with some Steeljacks. Whatever this guy's name is. Goodness. Capricus Carrier. 1 brick of Broknir Thunderkin. A 3-man unit of Thunderkin. Double land fortresses. A Pioneer. A Jaeger. And a Steeljack melee. So they got a couple more units than usual, but they're all small. Only 2 guys in that one as well. One thing I've always noticed and always said is when I play Leagues of Voltan, I like to be aggressive because I know they want to take up their space so they can bring in their reserves, so they can hold the line and then crash into you and do the combined arms thing. So I still feel like that's the correct play, right? Run up, kill their Steeljacks, stop the reserve space, threaten their big transports, just pull their army apart. And I think the Hunt does that quite well. Normally, this army strength is not only their power armor, but their weird toughness categories. And the Hunt is one of those weird Orks detachments that's stronger than other Ork detachments because they have so many base strength 5 plus 1 to strength stuff all over the place, like I mentioned the anti-custode thing. So same thing happens here, but more passively and naturally because most of their toughnesses are T6. So most of the snaggers already do that. So pretty nice, 100 points. Not necessarily surprised. I think that's a good matchup for the Orks. And then 87 into his last game where he goes into Adeptus Mechanicus, which is another party asset. So a lot of party assets out there. So we got Belisaria's Call, a Ranger unit, double Iron Strider, 3-man units, Skystalker, some Battleclade Servitors, 2 of them, or 3 of them. So these guys are actually quite good value. And then 2 Sakarans, 1's a 5, 1's a 10. 3 Ruststalkers, 1's a big 10. And then 2 Disintegrators. So these guys are Enemic, you never know because sometimes they have real high potential, but then they just whiff. Because look, they have a bunch of las cannons on here to Disintegrators, and they have fast infantry that can crash into you, and then they could choose to precision you with some of those infantry. Like they have, in theory, a lot of good combos. It's just can he deliver it before you deliver your wall hyper aggressive dismantling, and it looks like he just didn't. So great job by Marco. This list, excellent, 100% awesome way to end the edition. This is exactly what I'm talking about. When I put a poll out there earlier and I said, well, you know, how are people ending the edition? What do you want to play? What are you guys enjoying the most right now? And people that are running like silly stuff, like it's not silly, but like how skewed, outrageous. Hey, I know I have some bad matchups somewhere out there. I know that they have super direct weaknesses, but I'm just going to go for it and have a great time. Play Purge. Ooh, this is awesome. Bringing back the pigs, brought back the rigs. The shock jump was a great tech piece, and then you snuck in WAAAGH, Dakka, Gutsmack out there. So I hope this encourages people, because even though we know there are, just like me, I'm drawn to a lot of these other strong lists that are out there right now, like in Freebooter Krew. But still, I want to play stuff I really, really enjoyed throughout the edition, as I am the edition. Pigs are one of them, rigs are one of them, and killer cans are one of them. So, Marco, thank you for enjoying your army and inspiring everybody to enjoy the Great Wall. So, carry on with that, with the big hunt. And we move on to last but certainly not least. And of course, thanks what's up to everybody who's still here with the live chat. What's up to you, Gits? I know it's kind of late. So, we have Walter Schwarzone, or Schwar. I'm gonna put all his whole name together. Sorry, it's Schwarner, not Schwarzone. But Walter, let's call him Walter. Well, Walter with the Bullet Boys. So Walter came back with the Bullet Boys. He didn't bring the exact dispositions that I thought, he would, because I was like, well, is he gonna that I had thought he would from what other people had been doing, but he did do what we thought people might do. And he brought the Equatorial Horde, right? Boom. Equatorial Hordes with his Bully Boys. And when we talked about what Equatorial Hordes armies detachments are going to be good with it, Bully Boys was one of those, right? If you want to declare a WAAAGH, back-to-back WAAAGH, being able to cover that distance a little early might be something that gets you in there faster. So really cool to see. Let's take a look at how this list rolled out. And, of course, what's up to the live chat, whatever you guys got to say, too. I'll make sure I'll get back to you guys on that. But we have the Bullet Boys with Equatorial Horde, starting off with one War Boss with his attached Breaker Boys unit, not too commonly seen, because people still feel like Breaker Boys are just low volume. Right? They don't do the job they're supposed to. But there must be something to say about the War Boss's pure volume and just where he fit into this list by points and by virtue of the size of his unit or something to that degree, because he still fit this get on the list. And I think there is a place for at least one of these. They just don't feel as good when they don't have access to like sustain or whatever. Next is a 10-man unit of Beast Snagger Boys with another 10-man unit of Beast Snagger Boys with their Beast Boss leaders for attached unit 2 and 3. I'm automatically assuming those are going inside the trucks, and then those units can act as scouting units. So the truck can move up the field. The truck can actually end up not being on the field and then being brought onto the field during the scout phase, because it can do everything that a scouting unit can do if it's a designated transport and has acquired the scout keyword for that. So you can use this as I'm going to move this truck forward. Being able to stage up this guy, be hyper aggressive, or get in a skirmish might be the factor there, or just being able to counter the enemy's deployment by taking one of these trucks, hunting down the enemy's favorite tank, and then during the scouting phase of your deployment step, you bring the truck from reserves and then put it somewhere in the field. So then we have unit attached 4. We have a War Boss and Mega Armor with the Teleporter with 5 Mega Knobs with twin kill saws. So people ask me all the time, Power Claw, Kill Saw, what do you think? All I know is when you're strength 12 or 13, you're generally wounding almost everything in the game on 2s and 3s. And then when you're twin linked, that means you're converting almost every single wound that hit becomes a wound, right? So even though you generally do lack volume for Meganoms, and I agree on that, and it's one of the most frustrating things that you'll deal with, the one thing that should give you, hope or happiness is, say you get 12, 15 hits on your Meganoms, just know you're likely to get just as many wounds at 12 or 15 wounds also, right? So yeah, twin kill saws, I still take them. Plus, there's still targets out there that have good armor, and then they have armor of contempt, stuff like that. So I'm a big twin kill saw fan. I might not get as many hits as I want or punches as I want but I convert all of the wounds and all of them are AP -3. Then for task unit number 5, he has a big old brick of Mazrog Scrag Bag with his pigs all over again. So we just seen it in the hunt with the big brick of pigs and Maz. We've seen him in Freebooter Krew bringing solo Mazes, a bunch of stuff like that. So Maz is making his appearance. Don't sleep on Maz. He's still finding his way into the game. 125 points must be enough for him to have found his way onto the field. Not to mention his fight on death, I guess, must feel a little bit nice for these pigs when normally most of them can't even get into the fight, right? Got WAAAGH Dakka Gutsmack, awesome addition to anything, especially when he has access to the wall twice. In theory, I think he's War Boss, right? I want to check that. I'm assuming he is. Chat, you can check for me or I'll double check right now. But either way, the speed that he gets is just helps with everything else that you're doing here with the scouting and the double wall and his damage that he brings. 2 trucks, like I said, most likely for the beast bosses, but there's a chance that one of those trucks holds the 10-man flash gate unit, and then you're just scouting the Snaggle Boys and the beast bosses on foot on their own, and letting the 10-man flash gate unit go in the truck, or the 10-man unit of flash gate is going in reserve. So one or the other. Not necessarily sure, but that's why it's nice to have those options. Yeah, WAAAGH Dakka does not have the War Boss keyword. Yeah, thanks, chat's telling me right now that too. Yeah, I was looking at it too right now. See, but yeah, he doesn't. I remember that where we were all super ashamed and confused, like, why doesn't WAAAGH Dakka have a War Boss keyword? That's super weird. It is very weird. So moving on to 2 trucks, then flash gets 1 Gretchen, then. This is something I've brought up so much. I'm so happy to see it right now. Is never forget that you can simply not take leaders on your Mega Knob units when you're playing Bully Boys. You can save the points because you already know that your stratagems are almost exclusively, I guess not because you have Equatorial Horde. So Maz is a War Boss, by the way. Yes. You can use strats now because Equatorial Horde, you can move snaggers and stuff, but the majority of the time you're going to be using your strats on your Mega Knob type units, your knob keyword units, which means you're going to like re-rolling hits, you're going to use mortal wound something, armor stuff like that, armor contempt. So your Mega Knobs not having a War Boss, for example, keeps them nice and cheap. They're going to have their feel no pain still. They're going to have double wall access, and you're going to let them re-roll hits. So the Mega Knobs are going to get in fights earlier. They can draw more interactions from enemies and that first wall. And then on the second wall that you get that's exclusive to Bully Boys units, you can bring in all your leaders-led units. So I absolutely love Mega Knobs that don't have a character leading them in your Bully Boys. It's a great way to bring cheaper units that are part of the detachments, and they still get to use all the strats and everything, and they still feel pretty good. So I'm into it. I've done this plenty of times, and I'm totally for it. Double Mega Knobs. And in this case, as we always say, you could use trucks to have like a unit in them. The unit disembarks, gets out, runs forward, someone else gets in it, and then it runs forward. So there's a chance people did that too. Not sure, but keep it in mind as a way to get around, because you're really not that fast as you're moving these things up the field, and you're not that tough either. So this army seems like a lot of staging, which is why it makes sense why he was playing Equatorial Horde to like kind of move up quicker, which makes sense. And most people are going to be playing Purge when they do this, which is exactly what he did too. And just, you know, chat also responded to me, and they said that WAAAGH Dakka most likely is a Big Mac according to lore, and I think you guys are right, so thank you. And Maz is a War Boss according to lore, and he has a War Boss keyword, so that all tracks. So here he is, 3rd place, lost his 3rd game. But let's go through his path to victory with Walter's unusual Bully Boys list. He went into a Space Wolf Stormlands task force. We have Logan Grimnar with 5 big brick Terminator brick, sorry. Chaplain on bike with some Outriders, Bjorn the Fellhatten, and Murder Fang. So he's bringing double epic little square box lunchboxes. We have Assault lunchbox for Maz. Assault jump pack intercessors, some Frenesian Wolves, some infiltrators, Invader ATV, another Outrider, double minimum size unit of cavalry, a Venerable Dreadnought, and then double Wolf Scouts with 2 Wolfen with Storm Shields. So I do like this for the most part on the matchup, because like something, for example, Thunderwolf Calves don't hit necessarily that great into high toughness Mega Knob type units or Squigs either. and being able to run up and get into the first fights and altercations to put Space Wolves on their back foot does matter. Snaggers have at least decent targets when you see how many lunchboxes they have that they can go into, lunchbox dreadnoughts, or just the outriders themselves. I do like Snaggers for this because now they'll be strength 6. The volume of punches helps. They don't have great AP. Armor on those outriders, and on the interrupt, it wouldn't be that good if you charge them first. It wouldn't be that painful to you. And then in response, usually everything that you're fighting with them, for example, like I mentioned earlier with Thunderwolf Cav, they're T6, 4-up invuln. Normally they're riding on their toughness and their invuln combo. When you put Mega Knobs into them and you're like, oh, I'm just re-roll the hit roll, and then I'm also wounding you on 2s, and I'm re-rolling the wound roll. Here you go, eat 10 to 12 saves. They fill half of those or more. You know, they can lose half. They can use 2 to 3 or all 3 of their actual little bases on their little 3-man unit. So if you do that to 2 of their units, then the units are kind of useless as 1-man units. I think we just have too much meat on there and kind of pull them apart whenever I played that Bully Boys matchup into them. The only thing here that was the only difference for me is that not having gas. But you do have Maz pigs, and you do have a big old WAAAGH guts mech, so I guess that works out. Then he goes into his second game. I think I got the list pulled up. Let me pull up BCP. So he goes into the second game, which is against Chaos Knights. We have a Kraus this night, a Knight Despoiler combo with 2 of them, a Brigand, a Carnivore, a Stalker, Double Beast of Nurgles, a Nurgling, and then a unit of Plague Bears. This is one of those where I like the scouting ability because, one, you still have the stupid Nurglings that they're going to be on the field, or Plague Bears that might try to come and get the initiative from you. But you also have the ability, if it's not played that way and the enemy just goes straight forward, you can start using your Snaggaboy units to destroying these little these little war dogs. Then when the enemy responds to those with their bigger knights, that's when you can pull in all the actual big stuff of your Mega Knobs, because you need something to draw attention away from the pig units, the big brick of Maz and the pigs, or he's going to reserve every single game because he's too big, and then you're bringing him down during your initial WAAAGH. And then he comes in and hits people during the second WAAAGH, because at least on the initial WAAAGH he has his invuln. People are not going to deal with him when they're dealing with the example, the Mega Knob units that don't have leaders already in their face, what we talked about. And not to mention, he does at least have the flash kits, which would help with stalkers, and then WAAAGH Dakka as well helped with those. So him being able to run forward because of the scouting, because of the shooting, because of the WAAAGH Dakka and the Mega Knobs in trucks, there's a chance that he can actually make contact with the enemy if they do come forward a little too committal early, like turn 2 WAAAGH, and then make contact with some of those units, kind of skirmishy, and then second WAAAGH, bring in pigs, bring in more Mega Knob, put the rapid ingress, bring in Breaker Boys, and then continue that momentum. So I really like that. I do question, the only thing I question is his Breaker Boy unit, you know? And then he goes into his third game. So this is the game he actually lost, which is into the Emperor's Children. So I totally understand this one. If you're he's playing reconnaissance though, and these guys are really fast, and that sucks when you're playing Bully Boys or any kind of Ork and they can come get the initiative on you. And like we said already, his units aren't necessarily that tough. So he has Keeper of Secrets, Lord Exalteds, 2 of them, triple Demonettes, double Infractors, double Tormentors, a Chaos Rhino, Chaos Spawn, double Defilers, and some Fiends. So he has shooting, he has advanced in charging combos, he has -1 to hit keepers and everything like that he has to deal with. And the only thing you can do is reroll hits, which are only going to apply to Mega Knobs, which has low volume here. So the scouting Snagga Boys, I don't know, like I said, if he's using trucks or not, but nonetheless, him being able to actually make contact with those units fast, and Demonettes that help, you know, wrap and trap them or stop them when they try to disembark, flash kits, being able to having to be used on those kind of units instead of their ideal targets would be harder. And then everything else being able to quickly run down, fight, shoot, charge, kill means that you quickly would be stuck with like half Mega Knob units and then a unit of pigs, while you still have the Defilers that are fast, combined arms that don't have any threat of being shot at, like some of the other lists we went over tonight, where they have tank busters or combination of different kind of shooting units that I can all drag them down. In this case, they don't. They can just lay into your like these early Mega Knob units that don't have leaders, and I can see how this could be a tough matchup. So, like I always say, if you're playing one of these hyper aggro orc units, if it's the pigs or the bully boys, if the enemy can take the initiative from you, whether it's from deep ingresses or extreme speed, it's immediately a hard matchup, and then that can not go your way. The enemy seem to get 100 points into this matchup also when we look at this on BCP, right? So then he goes into his fourth game where he comes back with vengeance. He goes into the Tau Empire with Monka. So real quick, because they have a lot of units. Farsight, Sunforge battle suits, Cold Star with some battle suits, double Condre Fireblaze, double Breacher Squads, double Devilfish, Starsight suit, 2 Hammerhead gunships, double Pathfinders, Riptide, stealth battle suits. So from what I've heard, Equatorial does seem to do good into Tau. You run up, you take up that little bit of space they like. You can get those fight skirmishes off real quick to start picking up their little trash units, whether it's stealths or Pathfinders or was it piranhas and stuff like that. So risking the Devilfish as well. They're too aggressive with that, so their breachers can't get out. You do have to worry though, because they're usually fast enough to get on your Snagger Boys too. So I'm not sure how you use them yet. But if you went first into them, you can cover that distance, bring down the ingress while charge into them. I don't see like that outstanding damage that they typically would bring. That I'd be scared of. I guess it's because they don't have a bunch of Triptides. They have all they do. They have double Riptides. I lied. Yeah, but this much aggression typically does all right into Tau from what I've seen. And it's one of those early game type of things. So Equatorial being able to be like, no, I'm going to get into your fights. Let's go. Awesome to see it actually paying off there, because he got a big 95-point win into that one, or 98-point win. And then we go into his last game, which this one was a 95-point win, which was into Eldari, another army playing recon that is just fast, right? And so we have Farseer, 6 units of troops, triple fire prisms, a ranger, double shroud runners, skyweavers, 6 star weavers, and then double war walkers. So a bunch of just small MSU units all over the field. And he's playing Purge, right? And like I've said before, when you have that much wall and you're these big of units, you just kind of gonna run around and just be like, okay, you're there, run through you, consolidate to the next thing, another thing there, run through you, keep doing it. So they're not going to be doing enough damage while they're being that skirmishy, right? A bunch of small activations. So pretty awesome to see. Awesome to see with this much meat on the list. And this is one of those matchups that I might presume that the Snagger Boys are in the trucks and the Flatchets are reserves or something like that. And then the Squigs are on the actual field so they can just run through enemies, because nothing here is too threatening besides those fire prisms, and they can't kill everything, right? So 95-point win there. So awesome to see. Great job by the Bully Boys. Interesting about the War Boss with the Breaker Boys. I mean, I guess it's just a points thing. It is what it is. We got all these units with twin kill saws. Snagger Boys making their ways on the list with the Equatorial Horde supporting the Bully Boys in this one, and then a big old unit of pigs still being used. So that being said, really happy to see the results. Hyper aggression still has its play. Shooting, running up in people's face is nice, but being a good old-fashioned Bully Boy still has his teeth. Being mean and green is still good for the team. So awesome to see, Walter, and congratulations to that. So that's it for the top players. Let's go over the live chats and everyone who's here. Sorry, guys, I was a little long-winded there today, but hey, I'm pretty pumped for the Orks, because personally, I do this to inspire you guys to be able to go out and play different style of Orks and not just be constantly limited to the couple 2 or 3 same Freebooters, more Dakka style archetypes, which I still find very, very exciting and fun. But some people just want to play with like their most exciting things they use to the whole edition. And you can see those are actually still working. So even pigs, which are kind of known for being the least meta, hardcore, least changed, at least for points and stuff, unit, still coming out playing awesome. Mega Knobs, again, them two bully boys, all they needed was a little bit of love and help from something like Equatorial to have a little bit more play. So if you like your Mega Knobs or you like your bully boys, right, this is a great time to bust out all those armies. It's very exciting. So we have Mini Crusaders. Let's go, lads. Let's go, lads. Whoa. So we have Steven video back there behind the member wall for a week. I recorded a video doing stuff Mork's Glaze. Sorry, my bad. Mork's Gaze, where I pick units that I like that I want to talk about to bring people's attention. So far, I've been picking good units, so hopefully that comes out soon for the members. So thank you to the members that are out there right now. Like Maximum Measures, thank you to you, and I'll be recording more videos like that. I'm getting more ideas, thanks to everybody. Thank you, Kong Tang. Whoa, to all the new green boys spawning. It means a lot. Thank you guys for joining the Great Wall. It helps support so we can keep the Great Wall alive. It's a great time to be green. We got Bloody Sod with, I don't know what this is, but he says stay hydrated, and I am. You get, so thank you very much for that. I don't know what the jewels are, but you 950 of one, I'm sure goes a long way. So, whoa, for the Bloody Sod. That's an interesting sounding name, by the way. Yeah, and so we're pretty pumped. What's up, Aiden's boys? I'm here. I miss everything. What's up, man? Whoa, but don't worry, dude. You're always here for Rewatch Game. Shout out to Rewatch Game. He said, I've been playing third edition, never won a game with third against Eldar, but there's just something about them I can't get over, and I don't know why. You respect them too much, but I get, and I mean that because I'm simplifying it, but because it's a quick answer. You got to be more aggro on them. You got to corner them in their deployment zone, and you got to just run through them, and also have the awareness of their movement shenanigans so you get caught and gotcha moments. So ask the right questions. And then some support combined arms, like some flamers, like Left Kill War Drags can sometimes be fun units to use on them for overwatches and weird stuff like that. So having little counter tools built into your list. I like killing Eldar, personally. I love it. And we're in a better spot now than then, dude. So you have a great time if you go into them again. Is there a reason GW decided WAAAGH should not either go Big Mac or Big Mac keyworded? I think they just didn't want to overpower him on accident because he's already powerful. So we'll see in the codex. That's the fun part, guys. We're not even at the peak right now, guys. You guys don't even realize it. We're in this weird Goldilocks zone where we can't get like nerfed because we're going to get a codex, and we're not like weak, but we're not like super strong. We're like really strong, but we're good. But we got like new tools and toys, but we're like nothing that's so sticking out that needs to be immediately handled. Therefore, this is just like the eye of the storm before we get the actual codex, and we really make the whole Warhammer community cry. So I mean, guys, just play it out, play whatever you got, and there's so much more room for stuff to be broken, like our boy Maz. No, I'm just joking. Hopefully they bring Maz back because he used to be so exciting. That being said, thank you, everybody that was here. Shout out to the live gang. Shout out to Rewatch gang. If there's anything you guys want me to cover, if you guys want me to do anything else that I miss or elaborate on, of course, let me know when you're here and you're watching, or with the comments, because I do read them and go back. So there's a bunch to say. I'm pretty excited. And what's up, Rock Lobster? He says, whoa, awesome video. Made some list changes. Yeah, I'm sure you had some good ideas to begin with, though, too. And I really like that little picture. That's freaking hilarious. So, of course, remember, reach out to me on Discord, Facebook, whatever. We can always chat. I try to be involved as much as I can. I'll reply to the polls. And remember, we got the War Balls paint competition. So there's always one thing to keep in mind is don't cross our wall because we'll knock your teeth out.